This is Prof.L.B.Gayakawad's English Literature Web. This is the YouTube channel. This channel uploads the videos on English literature, on English grammar, on English phonetics and phonology, on English semantics and syntactics, as well as on the English speaking course. I am Professor L.B. Gayakawad. Request you first to like, share, comment and subscribe my channel. Here today I have come with the topic. The name of the topic is the concept of notice. In the first part we have come to the point of the heading. So now in the second part we will see that after the heading of the notice we should write the body of the notice. Very brief and to the point. Remember, here I will say that when we have completed the heading of the notice, we should write the body of the notice. What is the body of the notice? The total notice. And when we are writing or when we are planning the body of the notice, we should think again and again that we have to write that body very brief and to the point. Remember, we should not write the notice detailed, or our notice is not a story, or our notice is not a novel, or it is not the poem that we will write anything imaginatively. So that's why our body of the notice should be very brief and to the point. But the point is that the notice should be very clear, and the body of that notice should be very clear, because we have to attract the persons to attend the meeting. Because remember, we are going to write the notice of the meeting and we are inviting those persons or the group of persons or the special person to attend our meeting. If that notice or the body of the notice or the total notice will not be meaningful, to the point or very brief, then it may be possible that there will be the confusion in the meeting, or there will be the quarrel or struggle in the meeting, because those persons whom we are going to invite will not understand the real purpose of the notice. And that's why the body of the notice or the total notice should be very brief and to the point. The body should be written with the main content. Content means what? Information. Remember, when we are writing the body of the notice, that body should be written with the main content. Now, content means what? Information. What is actually the information? That information should be written, or we should write that information in the body of the notice. We should not write anything imaginatively. There should be everything real, and then that notice or the wording of that notice should be impressive, because we have to attract the invitees, or we have to attract the person whom we are writing that particular notice. Finally, the notice, we should write the name and designation of the writer of the notice. Remember, when we have completed the particular body of the notice, then finally that notice, or at the end of that notice, or in the end of that notice, we should write the name and designation. Name means what? Suppose S.M. Patil, we should write. Or designation means who is he. Suppose he is the principal, or if he is the manager, like this means we should write the name and designation of the writer. Writer means the particular authority who is sending that notice, that person's name and that person's designation should be written finally the notice, because that notice is very important, and those persons who are there as the invitees, or to whom we are going to invite, those persons should understand the person of the notice, or the name and the designation of the person who is writing or sending that notice. The notice should be signed by the same person who is valid and an authority person. Remember, the important point is that the notice should be signed. Means that notice should be signed by the person. Means the person should sign the notice who is the same person. Same person means what? Who is the valid person. Valid means who is the necessary person, who is the real person, or who has the authority, or who is the real person of that office. Suppose the manager, suppose the principal, suppose the headmaster. Such type of persons are called the valid person or the authority person. So remember, when we are uh, writing the particular notice, and when the body of the notice is completed, then that notice should be signed by the person who is really a valid person or a person of the authority. The content of the notice should cover the points which are important and communicated to the readers. Remember, the point is that the notice should be very important, or should be very essential, because the content of the notice should cover. Means the content means the information of the notice should cover the points, means all the points should be covered in the notice. Means the notice writer should cover all the points. Means he should include all the points which are very important to attend the meeting. And that's why the writer of the notice should cover, should include all the points which are important and communicated to the readers. Means all those points which are really real, which are really important, which are really communicated or communicating points to the readers. Readers means what? To the persons whom we are going to invite. Then we should cover the event. Event means what? What is going on in the meeting, or why this notice is being sent. Remember here, now we should include, or we should write, or we should cover there the main purpose of the meeting. It means that why we are writing that notice, or why we are sending that notice. That is called the purpose of the notice. So we should cover all the event. Means when we are going to take the meeting, what is the event? Why we are taking that meeting, or why we are sending that notice? Means what is going on in the meeting, means on which subject we are going to discuss. That is called the event. That is called the real information, or why this notice is being said. Sent. Means why we are sending the meeting. What is the purpose of sending this notice? So we should think of all these matters there. This is really the crux. That is the most important point of the messages, which should be written clearly without ambiguity. Means remember, this is the important point, or this is the crux. Crux means what? This is the most important point, or this is the most important duty of the writer, or the writer should write the notice very clearly. If that writer is not writing that notice, or is not sending that notice clearly, and if that writer is making there the confusion or ambiguity is there in the notice, then that notice will not work properly, and there will be the confusion, and then that confusion, it may be possible, can create the problem to conduct the meeting. And that's why while writing the notice, there should not be any kind of ambiguity, there should not be any kind of difficulty, there will not be any kind of confusion. Means there should be the clarity in the meeting. Means the writer should write that meeting very, very clear without any ambiguity. That is the main point. The location of the event should be cleared exactly as the venue or the location are the most important details. Remember, we are inviting the persons to attend a particular meeting. So those persons should know about the location. Location means what? Where we are going to arrange that meeting, or where we are calling those persons, or what is the place, or what is the location, means what is our venue, where we are going to take that meeting. So the location of the event should be clear, means we should clearly mention in the body of the notice where we are going to attend that meeting, or where we are going to manage that meeting. Means the place, the venue, the location, or the exact place we should mention in the notice, because those persons will know the exact place of the meeting, and then they will come there. And that's why we should mention the location, we should mention the venue, or we should mention the location of the event, because these are the most important things or matters or details to attend the meeting very, very successfully. The time and the event, that is the meeting date, should be written clearly. Remember, we should write there the exact time. We should mention, we should give the particular time at which time the meeting will start, or if there will be the particular time, or exactly there will be some problem, everything we should clear there. And that's why the time of the event, and the particular event means what we will take there, what will be the points or what will be the subjects of the meeting, all these should be there mentioned clearly. And then the date, means on which date we are going to take the meeting, that date also we should write there very clearly. If possible, the duration of the event should be mentioned to people who can schedule time accordingly. It means that if possible, means if gets possible to us, or if it is possible for us, we should give the duration of the event. Duration of the event means from which time to which time this meeting will take place. Means exact duration or exact long period should be given. Means if we are conducting that meeting from 10 to 12, we should mention that duration particularly there, because those persons to whom we have called into the meeting, those persons will schedule their time, because those persons have no time due to the modern schedule. And when they will understand the duration of the meeting, they will exactly manage their schedule, and they will take out the duration of 2 hours for our meeting, and then exactly or without any problem they will attend our meeting. And that's why, as per the convenience of the persons or the group of the person or the special man, we should mention the duration of the meeting also there. We should mention the name of the person to whom the notice is being sent. Remember, we should mention, we should write, we should include the name of the person, the names of the persons in the group to whom the notice is being sent. Means we are sending the meeting to so and so persons. Means we should give their names in the meeting, or we should mention their names in the meeting. The notice should be written without any confusion. Remember, this is the point which has occurred again, because this point is very important. Because if there is the confusion, and we have made the confusion in the content of the notice or meeting, then what will happen? There will be the confusion. And if there will be the confusion, then our meeting will not be successful, remember. And if we want to make our meeting successful, then the notice should be impressive, it should be very brief, or it should be very shortcut but detailed. Means there will not be any kind of inconvenience to our invitees, I will say, or the persons whom we have invited. We should mention the name of the main authority of the contact finally. Means at the end of the meeting, the authority person is very important, because that person is sending that notice, and that's why we should mention the name of the main authority of the contact finally. Means we should mention the phone number, we should mention the contact. Suppose we should give the address, or we should give the I will say mobile number of our important person, and then those persons whom we have invited will clearly understand everything, and there will be no confusion of those persons, and easily they will attend the meeting, and there will not be any kind of problem to the meeting, and the meeting will be very successful. because the main authority is important to carry out the main responsibility of the notice. Remember, the notice is very important and the notice has the value if there is the contact number of the main person or authorized person. And that's why we can say that the main authority is important to make successful the meeting, because the responsibility of the notice depends on the particular responsible person. Remember, the notice should be written not more than 50 words. Remember, that notice should be very brief. That notice should be very, I will say, to the point. That notice should not be an essay. That notice should not be a story, or that notice should not be a novel, a drama. That notice should be only in 50 words or maximum 60 words. More than that, the words of the notice or the sentences of the notice should not go more, or should not go to the height. The language of the notice should be formal and not flowery. Remember, again, the important point is that many persons use the flowery language. Flowery language means the beautiful language. Beautiful language means they decorate that language. So that language of the notice should not be decorated. It should not be a fanciful language. It should not be the dreamy language. It should be very clear, real and formal language. Formal means what? It should be official language. It should be the language of the rules and regulations. Means there should not be any kind of imagination. There should not be any kind of flowery thing in the notice, and that's why the language of the notice should be formal and not flowery. That is the important point. We should select simple words to write simple sentences in briefness or shortness. Remember, when we are going to write that notice, we should select simple words, and when we will select the simple words, then we will prepare the simple sentences, and when we will prepare the simple sentences, then the notice will be brief or short. Means the briefness or shortness of the notice will make impression on the persons, and then that notice will be really the ideal notice. And if such ideal notice or such an ideal notice is there, then definitely that will be the real notice, and this notice will be qualitative notice, because this notice will pass all the points of the ideal notice. So we should write our notice with the simple words and with the simple sentences. We should use the sentences in written in passive voice. Remember, when we are writing or when we are planning our notice, the body of the notice, we should include the sentences in the passive voices. Means we should not write that notice in the active voices. Active voices means what? We should not write it in the simple sentence, I will say. Means suppose SVOC pattern, I will say. Means we should not write those sentences in the SVOC pattern. Those sentences should be written in the passive voices, because we know there are 12 tenses, and all the tenses are active voices, but of these tenses we can make the passive voices. And there are the 9 tenses of which we can make the passive voices. So we should write the passive voice and we should not write there the active voice. Means our every sentence should be in the passive voice and it should not be in the active voice. Some sentences, only 1 or 2 sentences we can write in the active voice, but all the sentences should be written in the passive voices. That is the important point of this notice. Then we should write notices, or we should write notice, or we should write notices in a box format. That is a square format. Remember, when we are writing that notice should be written in the square format. Format means what? The method of writing like this. Like this means square. That is the 4-sided notice it should be. And that's why I am telling you that when we are writing, or somebody is writing the particular notice, that notice should be written in the box format or the square format. The presentation of the notice should be neat and appealing to the eye of the studious person. Remember, when we are writing the notice, we should consider that this notice is going to the studious person, and that studious person will read word and word of the notice, and he will understand the mistakes of the notice. And that's why we are presenting that notice to the studious person. So the presentation of the notice, it means the body of the notice, it means the total body of the notice should be neat. Neat means what? Neat. It means what? It means that neat means very, very up to date. Means that notice or the method of writing of that notice should be very much up to date. Up to date means disciplinary. Means it should not be, rather I will say dirty. And that notice should be appealing. Appealing means touching. Means that notice should impress, or that notice should be rather in the bending mood. Means we are writing that notice. It is not the meaning that we are the boss or we are the master of that notice. Remember, we are the appealing personality, and that's why our mood of the notice should be appealing or neat, up to date, because the studious person will read that notice, and that notice should be very much appealing and very much attractive and very much studious to the eyes of the studious person. Here today we have finished the part 2nd of our topic, the concept of the notice. Today here I am Professor L.B.Gayakawad, takes your leave. In the next lecture we will come with a next topic. Thank you very much.